welcome back everyone to the late night review, and tonight I want to talk about a movie that I got a ton of nostalgia for, a movie I was taken to see at the theater when I was a kid. I'm talking about Kickboxer with Jean Claude Van Damme. I have so much nostalgia for this. I mean, I remember this poster. I remember a lot of the post I used to have. I don't know, I should have kept it. When I was a kid, I had the poster. Gosh, I should have kept it. And we got it from the video store where they were selling it. And it was bought for me. And it was such a good poster. It's this one right here. It was so great. I kicked myself in the butt for not keeping it. That bothers me. But this movie has always been one of my favorite movies, period. And one of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. And I have such nostalgia for this. I couldn't wait. I remember waiting to see it at the theater because I knew that my uncle took me. I knew I was going to go see it. And I was so excited for it to see a new Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. That's what it was like for me. When I was a kid, I loved Bloodsport. And then after I saw Bloodsport, what else did this guy do? I got to look for his other stuff. And then I found No Retreat, No Surrender, a few of the movies that he did before he became big. And I love No Retreat, No Surrender, Black Eagle, and those movies. I know they're not very well done and cheesy, and certain parts are fake, but they're fun. I got a ton of nostalgia for those, and actually they're very entertaining, especially No Retreat, No Surrender. But yeah, Kickboxer. I was so pumped when I saw the preview for it because back then, and then Cyborg. Bloodsport, Cyborg, those are two of my favorite Van Damme movies of all time, and they're still in my top three. I think those are my favorite Van Damme movies, is Bloodsport, Cyborg, but darn, I like a Double Impact too. If I ranked his movies, I really don't know how I would rank them because I do go back and forth, come to think of it, on some of the. Kickboxer is one of them, and it's up there too. It's way up there. Even though some of the fighting is fake, I know but it's fun, it's entertaining. This movie, Kickboxer, was my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie when it came out. But then again, every time he had a new movie that came out, it was my favorite. And then the next one was my favorite. So, and I've gone back and forth between his movies over the years, which ones I like the best. But man, back in the day, I mean, when he first came out and he started becoming big, the physique, the charisma, the martial arts, the way he sold his kicks and the way he sold his punches. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to fight like that on the street, but the way he sold it, what a great film fighter. And Kickboxer, I was so pumped to see it. And when I watched it, I was so excited. And then later, the video cassette, I watched it over and over and over again, worked out, trained, put it on, tried kicking and following him and all that stuff. I come from a fighting family and everything, but most of my family, they were into boxing and wrestling, not so much the martial arts, but I was always interested in all of them. So when I watched this, I trained to it as a kid, practiced it. Nothing too serious. I didn't really take my training serious the way I should have until I was in my early 20s, but which is a little late. But I practiced to this. I used to watch it, have a ton of nostalgia for it, and I had such a good time at the theater. And then, of course, the character of Tong Po, what a character. And then at the beginning, he's very believable. He's kicking the plasters coming down from the ceiling and all that. And the way they set it up, it kind of reminded me of Rocky 4. And it kind of reminded me of that because of the death of Apollo Creed, Ivan Drago, and then Stallone avenges his friend's death. Well, this one here, Jean-Claude Van Damme's brother, who's played by Dennis Alexio, one of the greatest kickboxers of all time, his reflexes, his speed, good power too. I've watched him fight as a kid a lot, PKA and other organizations as well. He fought Don the Dragon Wilson, two of the greatest. I think it's free on YouTube. You can watch Don the Dragon Wilson and Dennis Alexio in a fight. That's a classic fight. I used to watch him fight on when I was a kid all the time. They used to have the PKA, and then they used to have those commercials, PKA, get the PKA Ring of Champions or something like that. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Dennis Alexio has always been one of the best, greatest kickboxers of all time, along with Don the Dragon Wilson, Benny Urquidez. Just some great fighters. But he plays Jean-Claude Van Damme's brother in here, Dennis Alexio, and he doesn't die, but he gets crippled. He gets hurt by Tong Po, and Jean-Claude Van Damme wants to get him back for what he did to his brother. He wants to get revenge for his brother, so he has a big motivation to fight. It's a good movie. I like it. It's fun. It's entertaining. I like the music. I like the score. I like the setting of the, you know, the temples, and he goes to the scenery in here, the structures in here. When Jean-Claude Van Damme is trained, when he's out there training, he finds somebody to train him. I think this movie is really fun. Everyone in here does their part well. Jean-Claude Van Damme was getting more and more successful and bigger. And then after this movie, he made even bigger movies, you know, movies like Double Impact. Later he made, and then Lionheart, of course, that's always been one of my favorites. Kickboxer is a movie that was my favorite when it first came out, this movie Kickboxer. And then later, Lionheart was my favorite, and then later, Double Impact became my favorite. I honestly don't know how to rank them. If I ever did a ranking, I'd have to really sit down and think before I ever put that video out. This Kickboxer might even rise in the rankings because I like it that much. It's gone up and down in the rankings, but not because I've really changed my mind on it that much. I just think it might be just my mood, what mood I'm in, because it's always been one of my favorites. I really, really like it. I really do. You know, the fighting is not very realistic. It's what do you expect, but it's fun. It's interesting. I think if you haven't seen it, I think if you like martial arts movies, if you like Jean-Claude Van Damme, if you like those things, you've probably already seen it. But if you haven't, I think you're in for a treat. I think you'll really enjoy this. It's got a lot of action. The pacing is good. The story is good and it's understandable. It's kind of simple, but when I say good, it's exciting, and he has a motivation to fight. He has a motivation to train. He has a goal, and you're with him on here. And Jean-Claude Van Damme always seems to play characters, especially in his early career, always seems to play characters that are likable and characters you really want to root for and cheer for. I get that from this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I really like this movie. I got a ton of nostalgia for it, so it's close here to me. So if you haven't seen it, please, you know, watch it. It's good if you like action and martial arts. Most people have seen it, though. I highly recommend it. And this has been the Late Night Review. Please like and subscribe and share this video. And until next time, good night, everybody.